I hope you're all energized since we are approaching the award ceremony. So before we move ahead, we have a team leaving shortly, and to take the session forward, I'd like to invite Dr. Subrat Kumar.
Thank you so much, Sahaj. To kickstart the session, may I invite the dignitaries on dais. We are truly privileged to have Mr. Subrato Mandal, who is the MD CEO of IFFCO Tokyo. So may we please have you on the stage. Please give a big, big round of applause for him. We are also honored to have Mr. JB Singh, CEO Interglobe Hotels. Sir, truly an honor to have you with us out here. Please join us on the dais. In my opening remarks yesterday, I talked about one of the guiding lights, and we are privileged to have him here. May I request respected Dwarka Nath sir to please join us here on the dais. As we kickstart the awards session, for us, award is just a part of the conference, and what we have truly tried to achieve over the years is to be as transparent and as quantitative about all the awards. For IAC 2025 also, we were privileged to have a very distinguished jury separately for corporate and academia awards. It's our great privilege that both our jury chair, Mr. K.S. Bakshi and Mr. Amit Malik are here. Sirs, may I request you to please join us on the dais. Please give a big, big, big round of applause. And let me also start with a confession once again. Every time I'm asked to take this place, please understand that something is not going as per the plan. And that is why I have to be here. The way entire IAC award ceremony was structured, we will go as per that. But we have got a team over here who have got a flight to catch. And they are one of the award category winners. They have to go back to Mumbai. May I request the Galderma team, who are the winner for Institutional Excellence Awards in Corporate in the MSME category, to come here. And I will request the dignitaries on dais, sirs, if you may felicitate their HR head, Ms. Tripti Nogria, who is here with us. I'm pretty sure we can have a bigger, louder round of applause. Please, ladies and gentlemen, give a big, big, big round of applause. Thank you so much, Tripti. It was a delight to have you here with us. And now coming back to the agenda as we kickstart the session, I request respected Dwarka Nath sir to kindly come and deliver the special address. Please give a big, big, big round of applause for him. Sir.
Hello, are you able to hear me? Good afternoon to everyone. I don't want to stand between the award ceremony and the chief guests here, but I've been asked to say a few words. Firstly, I don't know why Subrat has chosen me to do it, because I may be the oldest person here, okay? And we are talking about technology, generational gap, and sustainability. But having said it, let me just say a few words. I will not take much time. to just who am I? I have spent in one company for 41 years. I have not changed my name. I have not changed my profession, but my company's name has changed 5 times. Okay. Where I started as Horlicks, Beecham, SmithKline Beecham, Glaxo Wellcome, SmithKline, and as the chairman of the company, I sold the nutritional business, and I get my post-retirement medical benefits from HUL, Hindustan Unilever. So this is why I'm saying is when you're talking about sustainability and AI, you see the AI, 29 years of my service, nearly 29 years, I have not seen internet, I have not seen email. So virtually you have completed most of your career. Now to adopt to new thing, forget about smartphones at that time, social media. So this is the generation, some of us have gone through it, including Rajiv Bhai and others are here. But to adopt, ultimately what I learned is leadership is coping up with change. The persons who can adopt and adapt can move forward. It's a mindset issue, has been said very well in all these panel discussions. I don't want to elaborate it further. As long as you got the right mindset to change yourself, and then you can always adapt to it. That is the second message I have realized. And on the lighter vein, today we are talking, it's a Valentine's Day. I think, I don't know I should wish or not, but I would say happy Valentine's Day to all. In this context, I want to say about my experience. I want to give 2 or 3 anecdotes and close it in a few minutes. You said, what is the policy you can change? But AI will not teach you that. I think you need to adopt. This is based on your experience. Let me say one thing. Being a multinational, we said blood relatives should not work in the company. Okay. It's a time when I started hiring from the business schools. And every time I make an offer, I would definitely come with this, say, this fellow will not join you because his fiancée or girlfriend, batchmate, is posted in Mumbai. So she can't join in Delhi. So then I realized, after a few years, why can't I waive with this rule? But I need to go to London to get the change the rule. So it is a very difficult process. But I think AI will not teach you. I think it is context in which you operate, what is good for you, what is not good for you need to teach. I'm saying in a lighter vein in the Valentine, ultimately can you believe in 6 years' time, we had 10 couples in the company who are married, and they are happily married today. And they keep thanking me for having made them part of their life. So there are many small things which can be done with a human touch, which sometimes AI or anything may not be able to do it. So I think you need to get the right balance. I think has been said by Mr. Singh before this earlier session. I think when John F. Kennedy went to the NASA to see the mission, then he asked one of the janitors, what you do? Mr. President, I hear I am helping this company to send a man to the moon. See, that is the purpose. I think, when I'm saying that is the purpose, I think the purpose is important. And the purpose, policies, procedures, practices can change. But the purpose cannot be, purpose is very important. Those who can serve, who thought then Henry Ford has designed cars and you started having missions. Everybody worried that missions may replace the human beings. It didn't happen. And when I was in Calcutta in my previous company, started with DCM as a management trainee, when the computers were introduced, especially in the multinational banks, people were resisting this because they thought they'll lose their jobs. But because of the computers, we did not become paperless, nor we did not lose the job. But I think it's important that AI will help you enhance your efficiency, enhance your convenience. You can add many ways. But human beings, in terms of empathy, in terms of the humility, These are not the things which can be replaced or replaced. It's only refine, help you to do a better things. This is the other aspect we all see it in happening. Because I just want to make one more anecdote and close it, because we can keep on talking. What is a compassion? What is humanity? Very minor things. It may sound negative, but it's important. When you're talking about it, I think the human touch, a leader is not only who can cope up with change, but also can touch a person from Mali to Malik. I think your ability to manage from the lowest cadre to the highest level of the chairman, the ability to navigate through sales. See, AI can help you take a better decision making. Sustainability is very important. And you see, the new generation, whatever you may call, I don't know. I'm a baby boomer. Some of them may be baby boomers here. But rest of things, I don't know, Gen Y, Gen X. But I can tell you, it is not a problem, as said somebody. It's a challenge. I know have this because they keep challenging you. I just want to anecdote, it's a personal anecdote. I happened to go to US to attend a HRM conference. I was preparing my PPT. I was staying with my daughter because they were staying there. So I was preparing my PPT. My grandson, who was 12 years old, he was watching me curiously for 2 days. When I finished it, he asked me, Grandpa, can I know what is, because he was coming with me to the conference as a part of his visit. He said, I'm preparing. Can I have a look at it? I said, have a look at it. Then he said, who are your targeted customers? I said, Americans. How many? About 200 from different corporate world. He said, if you don't mind, can I say you are a big man, I'm a small? Please do. He said, this will not work. I said, this PPT will not work. Is it so? I said, what do you want? Can I make some suggestions? Please do. He is 13 years old. I did it. He said, sorry, I have to do it. But done it. I have taken it presentation. I think it worked well for me because he made a lot of changes. The one question from my generation to the younger generation, I like them. We have to change our mindsets. If you don't change, don't keep on saying there is a problem that side. There are some challenges, but you are willing to take those challenges as most important. So, to conclude, you see, when I was young, I got married as a management trainee. I told my wife, today I will take you to a movie. As I went to the office at 5 o'clock, my boss said, this has to go to the chairman. I'm a management trainee. So I couldn't tell my wife because in 71, 72, there are no phones at home. And so I went late, movie tickets, everything is gone for a 6. I told him, look, I am the youngest, I am the lowest in management cadre, so I can't do it. Many years later, when I was the HR director, I told my wife we had to go to a reception. At 9, at exactly around that time, there was something which we need to send to London. So I told my wife, he said, we can't go, I have to send this return. So one of my colleagues went and asked a lady, so we have to do this. She said, sorry, sir, I have a date with my boyfriend. Okay, I think, this is a very important aspect. It's important we need to understand. He came and said, see, look, I have never did it. You did it. How can you do it? I said, it's fine, because we're not given our time, we'll manage. So stayed back. When I went back, my wife asked me, what happened to your management training? Okay, so I think, you see, the point I'm making is, there is no point. You need to change the Gen Z to some extent, because this is where the academicians, industry leaders, other social workers need to do it. But we have to make change ourselves. Otherwise, ultimately, it's change in the mindset, the way we do it. AI can help, sustainability is important, but you can't get away from saying this is Gen Z. I think it is not for economic reasons only, they are more brave. There are opportunities of plenty. Maybe I didn't get a job, I have continued for 40 years in one organization. There are plenty of opportunities. It doesn't mean you need to change, but you need to counsel and coach them in a different way. So I don't want to prolong it. To conclude, there are 4 kinds of people. People who watch things happening, people who do not know what's happening, for people to whom things happen. But distinguished minority are those who makes things happen. I wish you are one of them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I just have one thing to say, that is answer to the question when you said, I don't know why Subrat invited me. I can say it on behalf of everyone present inside this hall. Perhaps you are the one person who has touched the maximum number of lives of people inside this room, and that is why we requested you to come and address. Let's not be miser. The food was good, I am aware. Let's have a better and bigger round of applause for him. Thank you so much, sir. May I now request Mr. Subrato Mandal, the MD CEO at IFCO Tokyo, for his valedictory address. Sir, may we have you, please? A big round of applause for him as well. Urja, please get the PPT running. And, yeah. So they're putting it. This is the semester.
Well, I mean, it's a real good start. I mean, after the, heavy lunch. I know, typically you expect people to be a little drowsy. I think we really got the energy to start. Now, I just tried to put my thoughts in one place because I was not very sure, what exactly is all about. But I am really, ladies and gentlemen, I'm feeling honored and privileged that I am in front of you for such a forward-thinking conference organized by People's Lab. Thank you so much. Okay. So as we just gather here to discuss on these particular things, which is really, fantastic, and explore on three different, very, very important aspects and how exactly we want to put these things in place. Now, many of our generations as Sir rightly said, that there are four kinds of people, and most of us probably is of that we have adapted the changes, and that's very, very important. And in our generation, we started with a radio. Probably that would have been the most high-tech things in our life. And in most of the times, it used to be at the top place where you can't touch, only your dad can, put it on or off, right? And for a very long time as a kid, I used to think in a small box, how one lady and one gents are sitting inside that box and they're speaking. And from that time, we have reached here today. And this smartphone is just something which probably is very soon will become outdated. Now we are talking about artificial intelligence and something beyond that. Okay, so I just tried to put my thoughts in one places, that how exactly we club all these three in one places. Now, as we have seen that we have moved from that generation of radio till now, and I don't think that human has stopped to exist. Yes, there has been change in the people. Some of them have adapted the changes, they have moved forward. Those who could not, they probably stayed back. And that is where the thing lies, that how exactly we can adapt this. So I just was putting my thoughts that what exactly, when we talk about this millennial and Gen X, what is their expectations? So if we want to find out solutions, or if we want to find out a balance of this segment, then let's see, what exactly they are looking for. Now, when we convert the current generations of people into an workforce, when we see them as a workforce, then let's see what they exactly expect from the industry or from their potential employer. One is, these days, people, there is a very, very divergent views about how many hours you need to work. Somebody said 70. There are a lot of discussions. Then somebody went ahead and said it has to be 90, and there were more chaos. But at the same time, if you talk to Gen X, they will say, sorry, we cannot come to office. We will only work as for our convenience from home. So that's one of the major things which they feel that, is their requirement. So remote work and on hybrid model. Flexible work. You can't say that you have to come at 10 and go at 5. They will come as per their convenience because, they have their own work and they need time off. I'm sure many of you, particularly the senior people, probably you have not taken leaves for months, but for them, they need a breakup, they need vacations, they need paternity leaves, and so on. Right? So this is one of the basic priority, when they look for an employer. On the professional side, of course, there has to be a professional development, there has to be learning opportunities, there has to be self-improvement kind of an approach. Then only they feel that it's a good company to work. And unfortunately, fortunately, these days, people publicize it like this, good place to work. So that's one of the, for the younger generation, that's one of the things they would like to see for every organization. Next is about clear career pathways. They would like to see that how much and how far they can go in that organizations. Now, and there has to be an open feedback culture. Now, if it's not necessary that, if my boss only knows better than me. Everybody thinks that they have a right to give a feedback, they have a right to contribute, and I think this is a very, very healthy culture and healthy expectations from any of the younger generations that they needs to contribute. And for an industry, it's very, very important that we actually utilize that kind of a feedback mechanism to improve our system. For us, even operating a smartphone could be difficult, at least in some areas. But even our kids can just do it, but anything going wrong, they will come and, tell that, well, this is how you can do it. So feedback is very, very important. Then the next thing is on the technology side. Since they have grown up with technology, they expect that the companies, the employers should provide them with the right kind of platform, right kind of a system, and right kind of an software to do things faster. You cannot expect that they will do a mental calculations and tell you something that it has to be like this. They want things to happen faster. And then artificial intelligence, automations, these are just a part of that, which is a normal ask. And that's why probably you see, when you see at a ground level, the people, the younger generations, they are more keen to join an industry which are forward-looking. Probably there are actual shortage of people where you need to work on ground. And that's why one of the very, very large construction companies, they are today looking for people because they feel that not too many people are really interested to work on the ground. So that's a real challenge for these generations of employees. Last, and I think this is very, very important because in our generations, when we started our career, probably we were not having this kind of an opportunity. We never had the opportunity to negotiate our packages and salaries. The current generations will definitely do this. Definitely they will do this and ask for, okay, if you are ready to give this, then I will join, otherwise, fine. So it's a fair pay because they are aware of what their friends are getting in other companies, and the comprehensive benefits, that includes a lot of other things, maybe parental leave, healthcare, and maybe even in some cases it could be even the retirement benefits. So typically these are some of the expectations what we feel that is the generations, current generations will be looking at. Now see, when the AI comes, is of course, first thing is going to stay. I mean, it's not a passing phase. A lot of things we have seen, it has come and then it has moved away, but AI is, at least for the time being, it's going to stay. So how exactly we want to utilize this AI, that's very, very important. Definitely it can improve a lot of deliveries, operational efficiencies, customer experience, and strategic decision making. That's, I mean, definitely an yes. But there are a lot of negatives. Rather, I will say that there are a lot of things where we have to be extremely, extremely careful when we talk about that AI. The first part is the transparency. Because AI per se is almost like a black box. You do not know what kind of input is being given and what is the output, because we can only see the output. Now, a person who is actually working on that really needs to have an idea that, I mean, what kind of input is resulting into what kind of an output. Otherwise, he will never own that decision. That's very, very important for an organization to decide that what is the explainability of these AI decisions, how it is happening. You may not see the black box inside, but you need to know if you do this, then this is the output. If you do put this, then this is the output. And then only the ownership will come. Then the communication of AI processes, particularly for high-stake scenarios, maybe hiring, maybe healthcare, the criminal justice, these needs to be communicated in a manner so that the people who are affected understands this. Otherwise, it will become a very, very big monster for all of us. Particularly on the healthcare and this side, I mean, these are the very, very high-stake scenarios where we feel that it needs to be explained and communicated as why it's happening. Then another thing comes, which is disclosure of your AI uses. That's also very, very important, because once you use this AI, now it should get disclosed to the employees, customers, and the stakeholders. That's also very, very important. Now, you know what happens is many of the time we just take a tick, I agree, and because it has got lots of fine prints, but just to cut short, we simply agree, and in the process, probably we do not know what is being, I mean, what we are agreeing and what that particular intelligence is taking from us. But I think it's a huge responsibility for any corporates who is using AI to disclose that what exactly is going to, how exactly it's going to use this particular thing for different cases. So these are some of the aspects for this. Then we'll talk about accountability and responsibilities. Now, ownership of AI decisions. If we take a decision and if it goes wrong based on some AI output, who is going to take the responsibility? This is very, very important. At the end of the day, this is just a box. Some result is coming out of it. Who is going to take a decision? Now we have, these days, we talk of robotic surgeries. Now instead of a human being, some robot is going to do the surgery on you. If something goes wrong, who is going to take the onus? Can you say that the robot has done something wrong? Somebody must have programmed the robot to do it in a particular way, or to cut up to only at this extent and extract this portion. So there has to be an owner for that decision. Extremely important. We cannot simply put it on a black box and say, that's it, I do not own it. So one of the very important aspects that anything has to be human in the loop, kind of a thing when we give any decisions arising out of machine learning or artificial intelligence. They can facilitate the decision, but at the end of the day, the decision has to be owned by a human being, and then only we can implement it somewhere. Some of the very important things, we talk a lot about data privacy and security. That's an important aspects. The informed consent. We all give consent. Unfortunately, we do not go through what's written in fine prints. It is very, very important for as individual as well as the corporates. It's very, very important for us to tell the party that what exactly we mean. I'll just give you one typical example. I mean, I come from an insurance background. So we issue policies for our customers, millions of policies we issue for our customers. And if you typically see, a policy will comprise of nothing less than 20, 30 pages. So what happens is our regulator comes back and say, you have to provide a customer information sheet, because nobody will go through that 30 pages of fine prints and see what is covered, what is not covered. So at least you should have an information sheet which should not exceed 3 pages. The font should not be less than 11. And at least he should broadly be aware of the fact that what you are selling. And it's not only that you send this and to him and you get rid of everything. You have to take a consent that he has read and understood what you are writing. Of course, the fine prints will come into play as and when there is a situation. But at least broadly he should be aware of the fact. I think this is very, very important in this space also, which mostly we ignore. Next comes the protection part. This is very, very important. Yesterday we have been talking to the DigiLocker person from DigiLocker, Government of India. They were trying to explain that how exactly they operate, because what happens is we store lots of data into various places, right? Be it your mark sheet, be it your insurance policies, be it your travel details. So lots of those things we actually put it in those things. And unless and until there is a real data protections, sooner or later, in any case, the system track you, but sooner or later it will become public. Your every move will become very, very public, and it will be predictive, because we tend to repeat our works. So that's on the data privacy side. And in terms of long-term impact on the social well-being, but we thought that, of course, as Sir rightly said, that there are 4 types of people. Now, this potentially, unless and until we are able to adapt to the new technology, this potentially can take away jobs, and it will. So it's very important that as leaders, as industry leaders, it's very important that since this can potentially lead to that kind of situations, we have to make our design which is more and more of a human-centric. That's very important. And parallelly, we have to see that what kind of an impact it can leave on the environment. The last part is basically on the ethical use of the sensitive these domains. Now, typically when we talk about, say, healthcare, criminal or educational kind of an information, is very, very critical. Now, the use of these things has to be ethically managed. I mean, there has to be some kind of an law which will prevent misuse of this kind of an information. Yesterday we were discussing with this, as I said, with the DigiLocker person. So what he said, typically we see two types of people who actually approach DigiLocus. One is the user itself, who has kept the data. That's quite natural. It's my data, my information. It's very, very natural. I have kept my Aadhaar, I have kept my PAN. Now I want to create a DigiJatra. I want to use my Aadhaar card for it, just to authenticate that this is me. Well, that's doable. So only thing is, what they do is they will ask for your permission to use that information. So you take the Aadhaar information from DigiLocker and pass it on to the DigiJatra. This is one set. The second set is the set of people. Of course, they have to be, they have to take the consent from the users, I mean from the people whose data they are using. For instance, the recruiter. They said the Chennai police has come to us to, verify the educational qualifications of all the people who has, appeared for the job. So they take the consent, but as Chennai police recruitment team, they will approach these people with permissions of the all those people, all the potential candidates to verify the declarations what they are doing. So this is also something is important for the purpose of retention of the privacy thing, and it has to be used in an ethical manner. I think this is the last thing, that how exactly we match these two. One is the expectations and the importance of AI. And I think this is the main trilogy where we are trying to balance these aspects. Now, as an industry, I think it's very, very important for us to see that how exactly we equip our next generation to adapt to this technology, so that they remain within the ambit of changing themselves and take these things forward. Now, when we started, as I said, we started from a radio days, and now we are talking of artificial intelligence, and there has been lots of phases in between. Now, since we have adapted, we are still surviving, and there are in between a lot of companies, a lot of technology has come and they have moved away. So that is the way we have to adapt to this new thing. So what we feel that industry and academicians together, they have to develop that programs where there has to be a shared experience. So that based on sustainability principles, we have to have an holistic understanding of sustainability across all sectors. So this is very, very important, where these two set of people needs to come and prepare the next generations for this kind of a situation. And all the curriculum alignment has to be in sync, so that the, children, when they come out with things, so that they can understand that how exactly circular economy works, how exactly the renewable energy works, and how they can really put that focus on that which is sustainable. For instance, carbon footprint, still is a thing which may not be understandable to a lot of people, but I think it's very important for the next generations to understand that what is these things. When we talk about e-waste, I'm sure, each one of us at our home will be multiple phones, old phones, not working phones, the chargers, A type, B type, C type, different kinds of chargers, it's just lying somewhere. But someday we have to dispose it off. So, we need to understand that how we are going to address and adjust to this kind of a situation. These are all real life scenarios. And in earlier days, we used to have a huge trunk. We used to put all the old sarees and dresses into that Today we do not know where we are going to put all this stuff. It has only changed. Unfortunately, fortunately, those were less harmful. These are more harmful because it contains plastics, rubbers, and so many things which are not so good for the environment. Another aspect which I think is very, very important is industry-informed research and case studies. I think that's a real-world case studies. We need to have collaborate both the industry, the institutions needs to collaborate and really tell the students that, what are the real case scenarios. It's very, very important. There has to be a collaborative approach so that we know precisely how things works. Now, I started my career, I did my engineering from one of the colleges in electrical. So I thought that I have done a great job by I have completed electrical engineering from a good institute. And finally, when I landed up in my first job, it's a steel factory, steel authority. I know the person who uses is the supervisor, and the only instrument he uses is 2 bulbs connected in a series. And the entire, any problem, he will only reach there with that 2 bulbs in series, whether there is a short circuit, whether there is an open circuit, power not coming. That is the only solutions, he will have. Even today, lot of the people in lot of the factories, particularly if any of you are from a manufacturing unit, you will understand. They understand the pulse very well. So it's something beyond what we study in our class. Now, theory is in its apna jagah pe hai, but I think this is very, very important that when we want to make these applications in place, it's very important to understand how exactly it works on the ground. So something on future-proof skills, I think that is one of the, and future-proof is for us as well as for the earth. Means, sir said that we need to have a mindset where we can adapt. And I think that is what the cracks of future-proof is. You have to adapt yourself with the future, and then only you can see that how exactly we can get into this, and then only you will remain relevant in the entire scenario. Otherwise, if you cannot adapt to the future, then you become irrelevant in a very short time. The biggest example probably comes from the IT sector. The technology, the software is changing so fast. If you cannot adapt to a new software, means you are simply gone. Simply gone. So that's very, very important where you, get into this. Now with this, we have to create a culture of sustainability. I think it's more about collaboration and creativity so that we can promote an environmental kind of leadership. So that's very important. That's a thought process. So I'd just like to conclude, because I'm sure, in last 2 days, there has been a lot of deliberations on different aspects of this. So what I just wanted to do is to have a thought process which could be discussed by various speakers. But collectively, what we need to do is put all these things in one place so that the next generations remains relevant, they adapt the technology, and human race overall remains sustainable, and we can progress faster. That's all. So I'm really thankful for patiently hearing and for your engagement and your commitment to shaping this future together. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. We could relate to most of the things, but if I have to pick one, I can just tell you a small story which happened yesterday evening. Once day one of the conference was over and we were sitting together with the team, one of my senior members told the team that, today you go and rest, and tomorrow, once the conference is over, we will all go out and celebrate. And the team got mum. And we said, why? They said, you don't have a life, we have got a life. Right? You forgot that what day is tomorrow, and actually, we had forgot that what day is today. So I can relate that how Gen Z is very, very clear about what their priorities is. Coincidentally, my company has got 85% of their employees are Gen Z who are giving me all kind of looks that, it's 3:15, I hope we get free on time. But let's do a small quiz out here. How many of you have ever played soccer in your life? Raise your hands. Okay. Now what you have to guess is that in this hall, there is a mentor to a soccer team. People on dice are not allowed to guess. If you guess it, there is a lucky draw. There is a gift for you. Sorry? Who leaked it? No, that's okay. The gift is there for sure. But I will tell you one more thing. Not only, sir, a mentor to a football team, I always say that you get to learn so many things just by interacting with a leader like him. Which brings me to my next question. How many of us out here have been involved in one or other conference in our lives? Please raise your hands. And if you call a CEO, how many times does the CEO himself call you to say that, I would not be coming? Well, you can raise your hands if the CEO ever called you to tell you. Generally, it is the office doing the work that, there is some exigency and the person will not be able to come. The next question. How many times does the CEO ask you what backup you have got? And I must praise myself that there will be very less shameless people like me who say, no, I have got no backup. And then the concerned CEO says, okay, give me 15 minutes. He calls you back and says, don't worry, I'll be there. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not talking about no one else but our own JB Singh. Sir, please have a big round of applause. So we are truly honored and we are completely aware. Thank you so much for making it here. Please, sir.
Pleasure and delighted to be here, Subrat. I mean, you run these events with so much of passion. It's very, very difficult to not show up in spite of whatever. But the football team is real Kashmir. It came out in Kashmir when all the trouble was getting over, and it's an international professional team. And so yes, I did mentor them. They came runners up at the league. And of course, then COVID sort of changed things, but it was a very, very invigorating process. But a quick shout out to the concept note that I got. I was so tempted to just bring it here and read it as my speech. It covers everything. It has such crisp and clear elements of what's going on in the world, and especially to do with what we are going to talk about, been talking about last 2 days, is just fantastic. And I think it's a document that we could use in our organization and have a lot of learnings of it. It's a great summary. It's always so difficult to take everything and package it in the right sort of format, in the right size of sizing, so you get it. Just come bolte na bilkul nichod nikal aata hai usse. It is very, very powerful document. And the other shout out I want to have, while I was sitting in the room there, I was going through the sessions that you all went through last 2 days. Very deep, very diverse. In fact, I was commenting to KS that we all are from travel industry, hospitality, and so on, and most of our conferences is just the same lot of people, including myself, saying everything that we already know and then putting it out there for 2 days and not bringing in any diversity. And what these this program I saw just had a huge amount of diversity. People from all walks of life, technology. I ran into someone who sort of manages institutes of that looks after forests. Of course, I am, that's academia and so on. So it must have been a very, very, very rich experience for all of you in the last 2 days, and I think you all are very, very fortunate to sort of go through that. But then let me get down to what I'm here for. I don't want to get into too much of repetitions of what you've gone through, because that's been a very expert level of conversation, but give you a very high level view on how we at businesses and how we as business leaders are seeing this whole thing evolve, and what are the opportunities that it presents for us to sharpen our sword so that we become even more competitive tomorrow. We are going through, VUCA was there all the time. Recently, 2 years ago, in fact, KS and I were in IMD in Switzerland. They called it polycrisis. But the concept was the same. There's a lot going on in the world. I'll quickly call out technology and demographics because we'll go a bit deeper into that. But there's so much else going on. There's government policy that's changing. There's clearly a lot going on around our customer, how the customer is changing. Geopolitics, last 2 years, 4 years, something we'd rather forget, the pandemic, all coming out from nowhere. Everything getting us sort of, by surprise. And that has thrown the world into not just a flux, but also a process of reinventing themselves to respond to the new customer, respond to the new sort of socio-ecosystem, respond to the new geopolitics and so on. But in the backdrop, there's a very big convergence that's happening. And it's not something that's just happened in the last 3, 4, 5 years. It's been going on for 250 years, or maybe more. But recorded history says that over the last 250 years, innovation has been the center of economic progress. And we have to recognize that. As time moved, today we call it AI and deep learning and quantum computing, etc., etc. But it was in 1948 when Cybertronics came out. And the first paper on Cybertronics came out in 1948, which said, how can we externalize our mind? How can we create a mind that we can all share? And it is since 1948, work had already started in what we are seeing today as AI, and so on and so forth. And it was in 1968 when the first paper was published on deep learning. You know what deep learning is? Layers and layers of data, and you extract that data to make some quantifiable information that you can use. Started in 1968. But what has changed now in the last sort of 10, 15 years? Why is everything moving so fast? Because suddenly, in about 10 years, we discovered computing, the speed to compute data. The data was there, it was being built, but it was getting difficult to compute it. But in the last 10, 15 years, we learned the power to compute that data and put energy into data and go through reams and reams of data in nanoseconds. This phone is 1 million times more, has more computing power than you referred to NASA, that the NASA computers use to put Neil Armstrong on the moon. I'm not saying that. It's recorded stuff that you read out there when you go out and you start to read on what the hell's going on, in the computing side of the world. So now the power to compute has become so fast that, and that's something for all of you as academia and educators, that probably what we teach our people today will become irrelevant tomorrow. It's just moving so fast. And we'll sort of I'll talk a little bit more about how the world sees the Gen Z in that space. Now juxtapose that with the Gen Z, already 32, 33% of the world population. And we should not look at Gen Z in isolation. There is the Gen Alpha, which in 2025 will top out at 2 billion. 2 billion kids who will be in the 15, 16, 17 years of age, and he will also start getting mainstreamed into the workforce in possibly about 10 years. But recently I had seen a sort of a program where Google had hired a Gen Alpha, a kid who's about, if my memory serves me right, about 13 or 14 in the US. And there was an interview. I mean, that guy was not a genius, but an absolutely ultra genius. He could be an outlier, but there are millions like that out there who are just moving so fast and have the ability to harness this massive computing power and make sense of it, which certainly that we can't, I can't do that, and many of us can't. But that's an opportunity for us, all of us, to look at and see how we, as industry, as society, as governments, and the planet, and how do we sort of harness that. And the third thing that has accelerated and become a concern, and even a bigger concern, is this whole thing around sustainability. Sustainability around climate, around environments, economics, social stuff, and so on. In 1970 was the first alarm bell when somebody said, hey, there's something going on with the climate. And it is only in 2016 that the Paris Accord was signed, 46 years later. It took us 46 years on the planet to say, we got a problem, that we need to arrive and converge and align so we can do something and have a sort of a common sense of how we see the world. So here's the backdrop for today, and that is all of this tech converging, computing so fast, a whole new emerging workforce, and then, of course, you have this whole climate thing, which is also getting impacted by a growing population. We've gone 3 times in number of in population size in 70 years. By the end of the century, we'll cross 11 billion. We are at about something like 8 today right now. We'll probably cross 11 billion is what they say. It's all going to put a lot of sort of pressure on the planet. But let's get to the Gen Z. I call that as an opportunity. We have to see them as leaders of the future. I think that's fundamental. That's the first thing out of the gate. Someone who's 24 years today will be running companies, governments, businesses like this and forums like this and so on. So they are people who will be our future leaders. So that's fundamental. We have to accept that, and we have to take responsibility to make sure that they're tooled up to deliver in whatever the world presents for itself in the next 20, 30, 40 years. And the second very important thing, we believe we are getting impacted by technology? No way. It's the Gen Z who will really get hit by this technology, not us. We are already on the periphery for it. The millennials, 23% of world population, we are on the periphery for it. It's the Gen Z that's going to get impacted by this. They will spend the maximum, they'll be the first people to spend the maximum amount of their working time working on technology that's going to keep evolving, I don't know, maybe by the minute, by the second, it'll keep changing, and they'll have to learn to keep pace with that. So they actually have a daunting task ahead of them, and we have to be sensitive to that. And so far, if we look at the Gen Z, what have they done? Hell of a lot. They're changing the whole economic landscape. Startups, new gen businesses, everything is coming out of the Gen Z vault. They're changing buying behaviors. They're changing fashion trends. They're changing food habits. There's a whole new ecosystem that is emerging that we have to understand, and we have to figure out, how to deal with it. And particularly for us in India, because we have 400 million of them, and the alpha is climbing again, right? So if we have to succeed as businesses currently and retool our businesses with this new emerging and a very, very powerful workforce, we need to really understand what they're doing. So they're changing the economic landscape. But there's one thing that they're doing far better than was ever done before. They're connecting communities. They're connecting communities not just within their ecosystem, but everywhere, because they have very small biases on community, on gender, etc., inclusivity, etc. So they are harnessing the power of collective sort of cohabitation very, very successfully. and they're taking a lot of initiative, and they're making a lot of social impact. Some of your big voices today who are fronting climate change and, racial justice and so on, you will find are actually Gen Z who are making a lot of impact out there on global platforms. So very, very powerful. And of course, it was already said they value a lot of privacy. They're thinking deep. They have a lot of access to information and sort of so on. Some of the big values already spoken about, but we have to be very sensitive. They want autonomy. And when you really think back, step back and you think about it, if I had to exist in an environment that's going to change every day, and I have to keep innovating, and I make innovation one of the central pillars of what I do, I want autonomy. I can't get then guided by all kinds of ring fences and so on. I need freedom to think, freedom to act, etc., etc. So really, they're looking for autonomy, whether it's flexible hours or whatever, but they're aided by technology. So they're not out of the game. They can go, they can work from home, they can work out of a cafe, they can work out from some other country, sit on a mountain, and they can still remain connected and figure a way out. They value a lot of social impact. In fact, in hospitality, we have enough data that today tells us that 70% of this population, actually it's not just the Gen Z, the millennials and so on, the broader side of our customers, today value sustainable products. So businesses are already starting to think that way and evolve that way and sort of already start to sort of respond to that. And many other things that was already said. But I take a sort of a piece out of your notes, sir, where it said in that note that Subrat gave, they need to be empowered, not managed. I thought that was very powerful. It's just put there so simply. And we have to just have to understand that these people need to be part. But there's some challenges. 90% of the Gen Z come out of the developed world, underdeveloped world, or the developing world, whatever you want to call it. So we have to be careful. So as we onboard the Gen Z, we have to be sensitive to their awareness on this whole digital thing. And we have to take ownership to bridge the digital divide to make sure that they are equipped to deal with whatever is coming out of the gate in front of them, rather than pull them out and start to sort of say, hey, this doesn't work or that. We have to throw them into it. So we have to be very, very sensitive to the Gen Z who are coming, and we're seeing that, and we need to understand how aware they are and what is it that we can do to tool them up and close the digital divide and make them more powerful. There's been a recent survey as well that points to that, which said, and I actually read it for the purpose of this conference, which said 90% of Gen Z, whilst they are on in the digital environment, they are not aware on the critical evaluation of AI. They don't understand it, or they don't understand it adequately. And that's coming out as a bit of a concern. This report just got published, I think, a month ago, E&Y. And it also said that they don't understand what they could do with this, in a sort of a more broader term, because most of the time they are only using digital through social media at a large population base. So that throws up a big opportunity. I won't call it a challenge for all of us here, HR professionals in your various environments where you operate, that we have to prioritize their learning. So we have to ensure and not just sort of believe that they know it. We have to ensure that not just the Gen Z, but the others as well who exist. There's a whole prioritization given to learning on digital, on AI, and so on, at the center of what you do. And more than just pushing learning, what is always more powerful, and who knows it better than all of you, is really that, you have to just create an environment of learning, of agility in learning, where people keep on learning and learning. So you need to build that. We need to build that in our ecosystems in a very, very powerful way to make sure we sort of get that. And obviously, with every section, I will end up with a leadership need, because whatever you drive, you need leaders to drive it. So make sure you set the beat, you set the direction, you set the tone. To manage Gen Z, you have to have very, very aware leaders, people who understand themselves very well and understand on what's happening in this environment. Moving to tech, very daunting, very scary. People don't understand it. Movies have come out like War of the Worlds, where technology takes over human beings and so on. But actually, tech is very, very collaborative. And it actually ticks many boxes. Ticks boxes around workflows, everything that you all have possibly spoken about in the last 2 days. Technology as advancement, awareness, etc., efficiency, and so on. But how do you mainstream it in your organizations? How do we mainstream it in our organization? We have to build a lot of trust. And we have to rely a lot on human judgment as we build this tech out to sort of aid our businesses and give us the competitive edge that we need to stay out there. As you said, otherwise we start to go out of business. So we need to end up doing a lot of advocacy. We need to end up doing a lot of trust building within our systems. And we also have to make sure we are relying a hell of a lot on human judgment on what is being put together, because this whole thing could change in the next 6 months, right? So we have to be sensitive to that. But it's not that simple. The source of data, on a broader sense, becomes fundamental to how AI will operate. And that throws up several challenges around empathy. It shows up several challenges around understanding the human impact. Wrong coding in the good old days would throw some financial number out of spin. Here it could do something else. You spoke about, on the medicine side and the surgery side. But there are many, many more sort of things, and that's possibly one of the central areas that we have to watch out for, which means we need a lot of ethical leadership. We need a lot of moral leadership as we lead this environment to make sure that there's a lot of transparency, a lot of trust, and a lot of code of ethics is built within the system by our leaders to ensure that we are using this technology in a responsible manner. Clearly, there has to be convergence between policymakers, academia, educators, and businesses. They need to converge very, very quickly and set up broad standards on how tech is going to be dealt with. And obviously, there's a hell of a lot going on anyway, but that is something I think all of us in this room, we need to be really careful about. And all of us who run companies, we need to make sure that we are forefronting this and not just sitting at the back and we're just watching something like, any of these things just sort of fall into a lap and say, hey, okay, we think we now have a solution. We have to lead it from the front. I think you said that, sir, is that we need to go out there and do something on the tech side to make sure that it gets onboarded in a very responsible way. Why does sustainability come in this trilogy? Growing population, the whole computing business is very energy hungry. And you all can research that. It is just massive amount of energy. In fact, I read a report somewhere that people are today investing, HNIs or sort of global giants are investing in uranium, because that's going to be the next sort of oil that people will look for to sort of, provide energy to the system, which really, and I guess, over time they'll figure out like the light bulb and how it'll get low on energy. But that's the big problem today. As computing grows, the hunger for energy is palpable. People are looking at putting server farms in Iceland and Greenland to keep their servers cool. Already servers are being put out into deep sea where there are cold currents to keep them cool. So there's a lot of work going on to make sure that this whole computing business is sort of brought to a more sort of a sustainable level. Growing population, need of water, housing, land, deforestation, etc., has thrown this whole sustainability thing completely out of gear. And whilst a lot of work is going on, it is still not being felt at the grassroots level. It'll probably take another 50 years to get there. Who knows? I'm not an expert on the subject, but I do have a very, very dear friend who leads an NGO that does advocacy on climate change, and he usually doesn't have very nice things to say of where we are, as a sort of a planet, which means we need to make sure that we put sustainability and bring it together, bring this mission, our personal goals and our organizational goals together where we work. Many companies are doing it successfully. We do it very successfully, at Interglobe through CSR and doing a lot of advocacy, getting people out and getting them just sensitive to the environment so that they can do meaningful impact. But obviously, it's happening a lot through laws. Some laws have recently been changed across the world, so I guess a little push and pull will keep happening. But sustainability and this whole thing on climate change, social impact, economic impact, must become forefront for all of us. We all have to become responsible citizens and responsible professionals and champion it and make sure it's deeply embedded into our systems. Which then brings me to my closing comments. I just have a couple of things to say in this whole vortex that's building. Companies have an inherent power to build new products. We can just do it. There are enough stories on failures and people who didn't respond to technology, etc. But broadly, there are enough companies out there who have lasted 100 years, 200 years. We just have an inherent power to go out there and build new things. And we also have an inherent ability and power to recreate what we have. And this is what the new world will seek and is already seeking, is to build new things that are sort of touching upon, and managing the whole tech environment, the demographics, the sustainability, and many other things to make sure that we keep our competitive edge going. And when you read what leaders are saying across the world, it all aligns. They're all talking about race, gender, social, eradicating poverty, tech issues, etc., etc. So the world has started to respond, and I think the question I keep asking myself is, the world is responding, are we, and if we are we doing enough? Do we need to do more? So I think those are sort of the questions that we need to keep asking ourselves, and this is so important, this whole trilogy, because the Gen Z is upon us, the whole computing game is on top of us, sustainability is going out of gear, and are we doing enough? And that's a question that I think all of us can answer for ourselves and go back to our workplaces on Monday and see what you can sort of do about that. A quick comment just to realign, and especially for you folks at HR, leadership becomes fundamental. And it's nothing new. You do need people with a high moral compass, high moral and ethical conduct, who are responsible and self-aware. And at this time, leaders like this would sort of benefit greatly. With that, I think I would like to we can go on and on. But broadly, the way forward will be really a lot around ethics and morality. Understanding Gen Z, rather than seeing that as a problem, we have to see them as power and find our way on how we can harness that, tool them, and let go to them so that they can run the next course of this planet. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for your enlightening remarks. Since you talked about, morality and integrity, let me again share something. You were all praised for the concept note. And I must confess out here, I had absolutely no role in preparing that concept note. It was my team out here. Everyone, please give a big round of applause for them, that they were the people who curated the entire one. I do not know to what extent did they use technology. The only thing which I have told them, that when you send me a mail requesting for leave, don't use ChatGPT. It is too apparent that this is not what you have written. So they have thankfully considered my request so far. And now we move to the absolute last part of the awards ceremony, which is there. It all was conceptualized under the leadership of Dr. Preetham Singh sir and Dwarka Nath sir over here, when they said that, we Indians are good at many things, but perhaps celebrating is not one of them. And that is when you are talking about your conference, there has to be one component which is about celebrating the pioneering work and the pioneering individuals. But then they also came with a note of caution. It is better to not give awards than to give awards to non-deserving people. And with all due respect, I start with one announcement that 2 years ago, We started with one award named after our mentor, Dr. Pritam Singh. We started the Dr. Pritam Singh Transformational Leader Award. We are privileged that the awardees of the first 2 years, the first year was Dwarkanath sir, the second year was Rajiv Dubey sir. Both of them are out here in the audience with us. And this year, the jury decided not to give that award to anyone. So I'm first starting with the award category, which we are not going to do for the year. And since it is an industry academia conference, I'll be taking the names of awards in no specific category, which gives me the freedom that all the messages I was referring to that I have to leave, I can accommodate those requests. Let me start with one corporate category. It was about Institute Excellence Awards. And within that also, since the very beginning, we have been clear about that there are 3 sectors which we need to look at differently. One is the private sector, one is the public sector, and one is the MSME sector. We had not been able to make much headway in MSME sector till last year. This is the first year we have included that. And this year also, we shared the nomination details. There were registries and in, PPTs which we got, the jury went through that, had a detailed conversation. Of course, the jury was free to nominate as well, and they used their wisdom and their own insights, and finally, the results are here. Let me start with the Institutional Excellence category, corporate awards. I will start first with the private sector. And again, if there are more than one names, they are in no specific order. These are the winners, and I'm just taking the names in any random order depending upon the press which I got. Now the first winner, and ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause. In the private sector, Institutional Excellence Award goes to Nestle India. Please have a big round of applause. I have got my good friend Weber over here. Ladies, may we have the award for Weber. Sirs, we will request you to felicitate the winners out here. The next winner for Institutional Excellence Awards, corporate category, private sector, goes to DCM Shriram. Please give a big round of applause. May we have Hamid over here. Hamid and team, if you may join us on the dais. Moving on to the Institutional Excellence Awards, public sector. We are privileged at People Labs to work very closely with both public as well as private sector, and I must share one thing. We have seen a lot of organizations where training or employee development initiatives are restricted to what is mandatory and what is statutory. But there are some organizations who have moved much, much, much beyond that, and they have been truly passionate about the employee development initiatives and activities at their respective workplaces. And I'm also amazed by the scale at which these entities operate. I'm aware that the names which I'm going to take, they trained almost 40,000 of their employees in less than 45 days, and it was a hybrid wherein, if I'm not wrong, almost 60 to 70% of that was in an in-person mode. Again, no specific order. Institutional Excellence Awards, public sector, the award goes to Bank of Baroda and Punjab National Bank. Please give a big, big, big round of applause. Sunil sir, if we may have you first out here. Requesting Pawan sir, if we may have you and your team on the stage, please. Please give a big round of applause for Punjab National Bank team. Moving on. Guru Govind do do khade kako lagu pai, balihari Guru apne Govind diyo batai. This is something which my parents taught me. Both of them have been academicians when I was a child. The next award is from the academia category. And we are talking about the pioneering mentors for new gen careers. We have got two winners out here, again in no specific order. An interesting trivia is that I had the privilege to be taught by one of them who's a winner out here more than 24 years ago in my engineering college. He's right now a professor and Dean Executive Education at IIM Nagpur. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Dr. Alok Kumar Singh, Professor IIM Nagpur. And the next award winner in the Pioneering Mentor for New Gen Career goes to Dr. Ashok Kumar Harnal from FORE School of Management. Sir, may we have you out here? Continuing with the Academia Awards in the Institutional Excellence category for pioneering initiatives for New Gen. And the two winners in this category are Jaipuria School of Business and Christ University NCR campus. May we have Jaipuria School of Business team led by Dr. Rajiv Thakur sir here on the dais. Come on, let's be a little more generous. We can be more generous with our claps. May we have the Christ NCR team out here. Again, please give a big round of applause for them. In the interest of transparency, let me also give a disclaimer. Many of their students are working with us at People Labs, but they had no role in determining who the winner is going to be. And they were the one who were clapping the most, so I thought I must give this disclaimer. Coming back again to the corporate awards, and the award category I'm going to talk about is the Change Maestro and Institution Builder of the Year Award. Starting with the MSME sector, the winner for Change Maestro and Institution Builder of the Year Award, MSME sector, goes to Mr. Manoj, the country head and CEO for Makeen Energy India. Please give a big round of applause for him. Sir, may we request you for a couple of words? Manoj, sir, may I request you for a couple of words, if please.
Hello, good evening. My blue cab driver is shouting on me because I was supposed to take the cab at 3:30. But those shouts are worth waiting for because I get recognized within this community that I honor most. This is the 7th edition, and I have been part in 5. And whenever I come here, I learn something and go back and try to implement. And I believe those points that I have taken in the last years have culminated in this award today. So thanks to the jury, thanks to People Labs, and thanks to my colleague out there who will know about this, and we're going to celebrate. So thanks to them as well. Thanks, everyone. Have a nice evening ahead.
Moving ahead, Change Maestro and Institution Builder of the Year Award, Public Sector. We have got 2 winners. May I request the first one, again in no specific order, Mr. Rohit Kumar Agarwala, Director of Finance at Chennai Petroleum Corporation Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Mr. Rohit Kumar Agarwala. The next winner, Change Maestro and Institution Builder of the Year Award, Public Sector, goes to, again, a person who needs no introduction, but unfortunately, today Kolkata traffic got the better of him, and he missed his flight. So the award goes to Dr. John Mathai. May I request Madam Sunita Nag to collect the award on his behalf. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Dr. John Mathai. Madam Sunita Nag and team, if you may, accept the award on his behalf. Continuing with the Change Maestro and Institution Builder of the Year Award. Private sector, we had Dr. C. Jayakumar yesterday. He could not manage his calendar today because he had a board meeting. The other winner for this Change Maestro and Institution Builder of the Year Award, private sector, we have got Miss Vishpala Reddy from Philips. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for her. Vishpala, if I may request you for a few words, and I will come back to you, sir. My apologies, I missed that.
I mean, firstly, this was unexpected, so thank you very much. So when I got the call, it's always nice, and I think you said that, Subrat. I won't forget today. You said you didn't forget me 2 years ago because I came with a broken foot. I won't forget today because on Valentine's Day, you expect a lot of love, but also appreciation. So thank you for making it special as well. But I do want to take this opportunity to thank, I think, the jury. I know some of them, so for being very kind and for nominating me. So happy to be here, and let's all continue to inspire and be good leaders, in the words of our speakers today. So thank you again.
Rohit sir, if I may request you, my apologies, I missed out on that.
Let me say thank you to all. And only one thing that I can say, good work get noticed from anywhere. So I never thought a work in a corner of Chennai will get noticed at Delhi. So that speaks loud about the quality of IAC, and then the quality of work, that if you do good work, continue doing the good work, it will get noticed. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir. And I can tell you there was one sentence which was discussed in the jury meeting. With all due respect, we are all here at Delhi NCR. They said there is world and there are good things happening beyond Delhi NCR also.